Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I'm coming in here just after noon on Tuesday. Actually, it's just about to be 12:12. And feeling strong and wanting to tap in for us for a little different kind of week in progress card pull for this Easter week, for this week that the sun is moving from fiery Aries to earthy Taurus. Happy birthday to all the Taurians. I have few in my mind that are coming up. So happy birthday to all of you. And bringing in the beautiful energy of my beloved friend Barb. Thank you so much for all of you that have reached out. Oh my goodness, the spiritual breadcrumbs and the beautiful, beautiful things that have been coming together. These things are sort of coming in to represent that energy with this rose quartz, beautiful energy that we're bringing in with this compassion and love that Barbara absolutely brings into this week's energy for sure. And, you know, as I mentioned, with this being Easter week and that bringing in the frequency of rebirth and renewal, and, you know, I'm going to be pulling a special card for that in honor of that from the Christ Consciousness Self-Mastery Oracle, an absolutely beautiful deck from Amanda Ellis that I haven't had an opportunity to bring out much yet here in our Sharecast work. So I'm very excited to see what's coming through there as we make our way to the weekend and Easter Sunday. But what I'd like to do is pull three tarot cards for this week that sort of represent our beginning, middle, end, telling us a story, weaving together the three. And then we're going to start with a card from the Song of the Grandmothers. So let's start there with the Song of the Grandmothers. And I'm just going to see how it flows if I decide to do a separate message with our intuitive interpretations of the cards, or we just keep rolling. I'll be sharing some energetic weather in progress this week as well. So let's see what comes forward from the Song of the Grandmothers for this week. This has been a beautiful, we'll take that. Okay, I just flipped over right in my hand. Oh, I'm getting that we need two. And we will take them both. Wow. Oh, that's so beautiful. So we have Grandmother Butterfly Transformation. Just gonna make sure everybody sees all the spiritual breadcrumbs falling with this beautiful pink coming in with the butterfly symbolism of transformation. Love your present self. Make over outgrown perception. Life's too short to wait. And that is coupling in Grandmother Butterfly bringing transformation with Grandmother Hummingbird for joy. Happiness blossoms in gratitude and belief. It flowers for you. We've got card 2 and card 17, which is also bringing us the frequency of 8. So some beautiful energies coming in here with those two. I'm going to set them there. I'm playing around with the setup here. So we'll see where we tuck all these goodies in for us to chat about. We've got our crystal eggs rolling out. So let's get to the tarot cards that we're pulling here to chat about. Our 3 cards for this week in process from the Spring Waite Tarot that's bringing forward the starry, sparkly, pretty true to the traditional with the fun spring flair and lots of beautiful symbolism. 3 cards for our week in progress, I should say. It is a process as we progress. And we're on the other side now of that full moon in Libra, and Venus is direct. And so there is a mounting forward moving momentum that you may very well already be feeling as you've stepped into this week. Perhaps a little more lightness and clarity or ahas around those dynamics and things that you've been working through. Let's see what's coming in here for the here and now as we started off this week. First card for us. Yes. Well, double transformation. And obviously, you know, as I say, there's a lot of symbolism in death, rebirth energy that we are literally walking through this holy week. Again, all of the different belief systems and whether it be a religious holiday, spiritual, or however we approach those traditional or foundational belief systems and the things that are given meaning by the collective belief, the collective intention around what, so many people around the world observing something, what energy does that bring onto the planet in the frequency of death, rebirth, and renewal, of transformation, of metamorphosis. So we've got that very powerful major arcana card of death, very connected with grandmother butterfly in transformation, literally marching into this week, bringing in all of those markers of this week and what that builds up to with Sunday as Easter Sunday. And we also are on the other side of Passover as well from the prior weekend. So we're coming in here, over the weekend. And again, I know that there's at all times so many different intentional celebrations, observations, and things that are all contributing to the collective energies that are streaming onto the planet that we are tapping into. So that's very significant with the death card. And now, I'm kind of looking at this middle card as midweek. So Wednesday's typically tomorrow, our midweek blessing, and that sense of, how we're progressing into the week. So let's just see what may be coming up there. Yeah. I don't know if we have to start keeping track of how often this guy comes up, but this Four of Pentacles, we just had this last week. The holding on, right? The creating space, the reinvestments in terms of moving around things and looking at what we're holding on to tightly, what we have an opportunity to loosen our grip on, or perhaps, let go to let grow. There's this sense of that constriction feels very limiting, and the openness allows us to receive. So middle of the week, there could be some clingy things that we're holding on to. I'm going to take a look at the energetic weather here next, and then we'll weave that in to see, what is also contributing. Because we're talking about now, today's tax day in the U.S. as well. So there's definitely some penny pinching, some, pentacle related things going on as well. And four, of course. So yeah, we'll talk about that. And I'll take a look at that with the cosmic skies too. So now we'll pick our final tarot card for the week to wrap it up on the other end. But again, these cards are all flowing together. So let's just see what we have there. Ooh, got some jumpies. Yeah, that Emperor has been peeking in a lot. We've also just saw the Ace of Wands. So that's fire right there. However, this is taking us to the end of the week where the torch is passed on to Taurus. And so we move into that very grounded, practical, earthy, into our body energy. So that's coming in as well. End of the week. Ooh, okay. So maybe there's some money coming back. Oh, how generous from moving through tax week. So yeah, Six of Pentacles, how earthy. So that is really cool because we're moving through the energies of death and rebirth and transformation. And now we have two earth energy cards coming in as we move into Taurus season that is about the material, the money, the safety, the security, the value, the worth, the work, in terms of what's tangible and there's an exchange, and there is the scales here, which again, this past weekend, that full moon was the culmination to many things that needed to be balanced and reconciled from a karmic perspective, and all of the things I got into it in the full moon empowerment reading. For everyone who joined me there. So we really talk about those scales and this energy of, healing, harmony, and rebalancing in relationships of all kinds. And so this will be kind of what we look toward as we look toward the future We left off on Friday with that Three of Wands that had that sense of, all at once we're looking at past, present, future, ships leaving, ships coming in, and kind of making those plans. Now we start to pivot toward the work, down to earth, doing the things, tangible steps. So we'll talk about these on the other side of the energetic weather. Let's pull our Christ Consciousness Self-Mastery Oracle card. This is a beautiful deck. Let me just show you real quick again. I know I did a pick a card when I first received it, but it really is just so beautiful. And again, we're tapping into the universal Christ consciousness energy here, asking for a collective message here on Easter week and just in the energies of rebirth, renewal, and this transformation, metamorphosis, symbolism that we see how many and varied ways it shows up for us in life, in some deeply profound and significant ways with the passing of time and the energies of death and rebirth, and with, just it's all in a week of ways in which this energy can show up in every way. So once again, thanking you for being here for it and for all of your support and the opportunity to connect with you and bring in this collective energy to tap in for insight and guidance on, checking the pulse of what's happening in the moment with the energies and stepping into that empowered to decide how I'm going to greet that energy and navigate. So let's see, one card here. It's the cover girl. See, those are the backs of the card. And this is the card for grace. Wow. Blessings and goodwill. Grace. Card 14. So it's bringing in that 5 frequency for, yes, change. And it gets a little sticky. We see the honeycomb there in the process of change and transformation. 5 brings that frequency of sometimes chaos, confusion, the tumultuousness of all of this collective work that we are doing, but with grace, blessings, and goodwill. So I definitely feel that. It's beautiful. We'll talk about that one on the end of our messages today. Okay, let me gather this together and I will come back on with some energetic weather and our intuitive messages. All right, let's take a moment here to check in with some of the energetic weather this week. We're going to first take a look at yesterday, April 14th, Monday. I'm recording this on Tuesday, April 15th, but we had Saturn conjunct the North Node yesterday, initiated. So we want to talk about that here, where we're starting to get some echoes of the energies that were present at the first half of the month. How it is that we're already halfway through the month, I'm not sure. But the echoes kind of stirring around here, Saturn is now coming into alignment with the North Node. So that sends more karmic waves our way because we're being called to step up and take responsibility for our actions. So this is about, Saturn, the master teacher, energy coming in with that tough love about no more playing the victim or trying to pass blame. We have to own up to all that we've created and take charge in a positive direction. So we could be feeling some weight on our shoulders at this time, remembering last week, here we go. Of course, right back to the beginning of the month. The first week of April, we ended with those double 10s, the 10 swords, the 10 wands, the heaviness of holding all of that and looking at what all we are, putting our energy into with that 4 of Pentacles showing up again last week, this week. Never stopped talking about it in all of March, and I believe February too, that what are we holding on to? What weight are we feeling on our shoulders at this time as it's all kind of coming to a head, needing to be dealt with some situations? Some things are being sort of coming to that fever pitch to need to deal with some difficult or perhaps uncomfortable situations. So take ownership this week of what you can and allow the rest to unfold. So there could be some harsh lessons involved, but don't forget, Saturn is our master teacher. So when we embrace the lessons it brings, we can very quickly find ourselves reaching a new level of mastery and accomplishment. Saturn does push hard sometimes with that tough love, but that's only because it knows we can climb higher. So we're getting that little, or maybe not so little, and I'm looking at that death horse marching forward, swift kick, head him up, move him out, giddy up, let's go, go time. And so anything that is around victim mentality, martyrdom, all of that type of energy is being called out. And so we may feel a hyper awareness of some of those things projecting to us from others, and, that we're seeing outside of us that are reflecting back to us opportunities for our own healing, and also, stepping up, taking responsibility with those actions. So from there, tomorrow, the 16th, Mercury enters Aries. So Mercury will be re-entering Aries as it begins to start to pick up some speed now that it's direct. Remember, it was retrograde in Aries, then it moved back into Pisces, then it stationed direct, and now it has been eking forward. Will be moving back into Aries. So that takes it further out of its retrograde shadow. When Mercury is in Aries, we may find ourselves more decisive and quicker to take charge. So this energy dynamic is also great for making forward moves in our lives. So if you've been feeling stagnant or uncertain about how to proceed, this energy will help to give you the confidence needed to make a move. So again, I feel that's like a nice spark there, in that we are winding down the fiery Aries season and gearing up for that earthy Taurus. So we have that innovative energy, potentially dynamic, coming in. And then we have on Friday, April 18th, Mars enters Leo. So again, these planets that, we're in, they step back. Remember I talked about in the March energy that two steps back, 2.5 steps forward, right? So here's our half step. Our half step is Mercury back into Aries, Mars back into Leo. So Mars re-enters Leo as it begins to pick up speed and move further out of its retrograde shadow. So we're coming into this beautiful window of time for the next several weeks where all planets are direct. And that is the universe giving you a big giddy up, right? Get it, head him up, move him out. Like I said, I'm feeling that horse for sure. So in this energy, there's sort of a trend that's forming because we're now able to move out of the past and into some fresh territory. Mars and Leo may bring around issues from October of last year, come back around for consideration, but we can now see things from a new perspective. Mars and Leo is a fiery combination. It can also help us to make decisions and to get things done. Mars and Leo can also bring our focus to our heart space, helping us to connect with what we truly desire. So this is a good time to lean into our passions and to make time for rest and play. And finally, for this week, I'm highlighting April 19th, Sun in Taurus. So once again, happy birthday to all the Taurians. Fiery Aries season coming to a close as the sun moves into Taurus on this day. Taurus is a grounded earth sign, so we may feel the urge to become more settled in our being or to lay some roots down for the future. If Aries season represents a time that we plant seeds, Taurus season is when we water and nurture those seeds so that they can stand the test of time. So what do you wish to nurture in your life? What do you want to feed and grow? Pay attention to where you're directing your energy, as where energy goes, intention flows. Taurus season is also a time to slow down and seek the smaller pleasures in life. So being more deliberate about our actions and finding romance in the day-to-day, those are all ways that we can connect in with this energy and embrace it. So yeah, we have all that coming in here for the week. We're going to take that into now our intuitive messages from, first we'll talk Song of Grandmothers, then we'll take a look at these tarot cards. All right, so we have a little twofer this week with the beautiful butterfly and hummingbird. First with this butterfly, grandmother butterfly, bringing in a message of transformation. Lightly perched atop a purple coneflower blossom that symbolizes healing, grandmother butterfly is at rest, allowing us to glimpse the lovely patterns on her wings. Not for long, though. Soon she'll be off again. She has no time to waste. Life offers so many flowers to discover and enjoy. Grandmother Butterfly's appearance today may signify a transformation occurring in your life or just around the bend. Or she may be arriving in response to a deep longing to cocoon yourself and emerge anew. No matter the impetus and no matter where you are in the process, she's encouraging you to reframe how you view yourself, even when you're in flux. Many of us perpetually view ourselves in the caterpillar phase, waiting to love ourselves until we become as resplendent as butterflies. But that is not Grandmother Butterfly's way. She says, your right to love is neither fragile nor delicate, but this life is fleeting. I offer my mirror to reflect who you are, right here, right now. Don't waste one more second denying yourself or putting off your heart's desires. You need not be more or less of anything in order to chase them. Let's fly. I do think, this is a very poignant message, and for obvious reasons, in my microcosm and everything that I'm moving through this week, that beautiful understanding of the fragility and fleeting nature of life, and to love your present self now as you are, and make over that outgrown perception of the notion that things have to be perfect or fully complete before you can embrace yourself and spread your wings. Life's too short to wait. So that is a very powerful message coming in, again, in a very symbolic week all around. And so with that, of course, we bring in the joy through Grandmother Hummingbird. So as I've shared in the past on the Sharecast, I'm specifically coming to mind when I was in California and the hummingbird was visiting. So if you were with me over on the March Empowerment Sharecast, of course, we saw how the hummingbird was bringing through some messages about being in the present moment and savoring joy. So this is saying, vivacious and exuberant, Grandmother Hummingbird radiates joy through the rainbow vibration extending beyond her tiny body. Here she approaches striking purple blooms, ready for a drink, the honeyed nectar that keeps her alive. She never doubts flowers will continue to appear in her path when she needs them. We often see happiness as an end goal, yet even when it comes, we may find our euphoria marred by feelings of guilt, irresponsibility, or worry for when the other shoe will drop. Grandmother Hummingbird notices a different focus. Instead, ground your joy in gratitude. She entices a different focus. Instead, ground your joy in gratitude. Stay aloft with her by spreading love wherever and however you feel inspired to do so. She hums into your presence to remind you happiness is your birthright, but don't mistake her message. If and when you feel unhappy, you are not being punished or condemned. Anything that says otherwise is a lie and unworthy of your attention. Instead of censoring, visualize yourself as a flower and ask Grandmother Hummingbird to land on your head. Allow her soothing vibration to travel through your body and notice where it gets stuck. Send your attention there. Ask her to help you name and release whatever is blocking your joy. Thank her with love and carry on with a lighter heart. She says, your natural state is joy, my dear. Allow yourself to partake in it fully and appreciate when it comes. This practice will sustain you during the flight between one happy moment and the next. I love that because, yeah, when you're in a state of joy, no matter what is happening around you, no matter what comes our way, we allow ourselves to partake in joy fully and appreciate it when it comes, which is what sustains us as we move through the in-between, the in transition, which is so beautiful because, like I said, the frequency of 5 is coming in this week with grace. So we'll talk about that on the other end. Let's take a look now at our 3 tarot cards for this week. All right, so let's take a look at this trio that's coming in for our week in progress as we look to beginning, middle, and end of the week, again, all coming together and working in tandem. So I talked a lot during the card pull, the symbolism of the death card, definitely not lost on me. There's something very unique about this one that I want to share with you from the creator. This death card, again, number 13 of the major arcana, shows a horse walking along a riverbank full of bulrushes. Its rider, Death, carries a flag with what I believe was intended to be a white chrysanthemum, he says, symbolic of death in many cultures. In the background, we see a scene from what will eventually become the moon card. Now, that's what I wanted to show you. So, here you will see in the distance that the death marches on towards this archway in the distance that he gives a little nod to the scene from the moon card that I'll show you in a moment, where he speaks to, in the background, seeing that scene from what will eventually become that moon card, because traditional Rider Waite Smith, these 2 scenes seem to be linked. So this is and I know someone got this in their personal card pull, so I did show this at some point, but if you have not seen this, kind of cool, the connection that this scene in the distance, and think about ending last week on the 3 of Wands and looking out on the horizon and knowing that there's something new coming in. But first, we have the death rebirth, this transition, transformation, metamorphosis that we are moving through to that new beginning. And the moon, now I think that if I were tapping into, again, the bookends of this card coming on the other side of one ending of a moon cycle with the full moon in Libra, and now we are endeavoring toward a new moon in Taurus in 2 weeks' time. So again, cycles, phases, we're moving through. So I wanted to show you that little connection there with this particular deck. With that, they chose to give a little homage there by adding the wolf and the dog in the death card. So death, as if it needs to be said, can often be one that, evokes some different things in a reading. And so it's simply indicative of the ending of things, and of course can, at times, and again, symbolism not lost on me, indicate physical deaths as well. So, I mean, it's really beautiful. Like I said, I'm showing up to you from my microcosm, sharing that experience in my world. And yet, like I say, collectively marching into the energies on the planet of Easter week and the symbolism that is in that with, the Christ consciousness energy, death and rebirth, and so much more. So very powerful, energy. It's major. It's a significant card, So that comes in, we're in it now, we're moving through, kind of course correcting, getting ourselves recalibrated this week from all of the retrograde energy. Like I said, we're still in that post shadow for Mercury, Venus, but there is this sense of increasingly, as we go, getting more and more of that forward moving momentum. Now, I've already talked to you about the 4 of Pentacles numerous times as for how it is, put out here in the Spring Waite. We see the figure sitting on a park bench. He's accompanied by a pigeon and a dog, and the dog is begging, trying to get his attention. However, the man is so focused on his pentacles that he has no time for, this energy of distraction coming in. So it's a card that can represent saving money, sometimes even to one's detriment. So we're talking miserly, kind of holding on. Like I said, it's tax week, in the US, all of the financial references in the world that we could bring in here for sure. Now, on the plus side of his being frugal, there are some benefits. He'll probably always have money, or enough at least. So think of money as representing the pentacles is material, safety, security, the tangibles, resources, energy, time, and yes, money, right? So perhaps to invest in or purchase something more substantial. Now, it can also, again, be depicted as an opportunity for loosening up and, opening and releasing, in the sense of holding on extremely tightly for, typically there's a fear-based energy there that we don't have enough, that we're not enough, that there isn't enough. And so, this was middle of the week here, which we're just stepping into, tomorrow being Wednesday as I'm recording this. There could also be things that you value and that you hold dear that, again, just in a really beautiful way, is reflective of those things that you value and that you appreciate, and maybe extending that gratitude and the energies that we were getting over here with Grandmother Hummingbird, and grace, as it will be coming in on the other side of this, that there's also, again, so many different ways we can look at this card. And when a card keeps showing up, we can say, is there something more here for me to see? And I'm going to actually show you that, because I'm hearing that I should do that. If I was doing a reading that's unfolding, and I'm inquiring, and I'm connecting in with my higher self and guides, and I'm tapping in here as we are intuitively into these messages, and we have a particular intention, or in this case, it's a little more expansive because we're talking collective reading. What more do we have an opportunity to see or to know about this Four of Pentacles coming back again and again? Like I said, I don't have the scorecard out, but we got it 2 weeks in a row now. We got it numerous times since the beginning of the year that I know I've been talking Four of Pentacles and showing you the fist and the loosening up, right? We're still working on all of that energy as a collective. So I'm going to ask, what more? Clarifying card for the Four of Pentacles. Do we have an opportunity to see about this Four of Pentacles? Not just the cookie cutter, we're holding on, we're hoarding, it's money, it's this, it's that. What more do we have an opportunity to see, to know, to understand about this Four of Pentacles coming up for us collectively in the context of this week and the other cards that have come forward? So we're speaking our intention, and we pull out our clarifying card. There it is again, 10 of Swords. It's an ending, it's a culminating of that energy, of that behavior, of that approach, and so, as we look here to the way in which these two can speak to each other, this is that 10 of Swords that we got the first week of April. So as I'm talking about the cosmic skies and the energies coming in to say, Saturn, that master teacher, saying, we may be dipping back into some lessons and energies that had come in the beginning of the month, that has an opportunity for us to look at this old way is ending, that it's been exhausted. It's come to its end in energies that the Four of Pentacles bring. So I'm going to look actually in one of my favorite soul decks. We have this beautiful guide from the Tarot of Light Seers, which really gives us an expansion on beautiful interpretations of the cards. So I'm going to expand on the Four of Pentacles to just tap into maybe something else that's coming in the realm of something that's ending and culminating here, which means it's transitioning, it's changing form. It's going to be renewed again as something new. So again, when it's in shadow, hoarding, coveting, over-controlling, having a scarcity mindset, placing too much value on money, a need to be more charitable, which is hanging out right there to finish off our week. So let me read you a Pentacles story as it's coming to us from the Four of Pentacles in the Light Seers. And I'll show you what that one looks like. So this is the Four of Pentacles from the Light Seers, again, as compared to the way it is depicted here. Beautiful, both giving, different sentiments and perhaps different ways that we may interpret each of those. So we get to bring in all of that to help us to add some layers of richness to the potential meanings as they're coming up collectively, which again, you're always invited to take what resonates and leave the rest, because there's always someone there to pick it up. So, Pentacles story. She clasps her pentacles close to her body. I must hold on to these, she whispers, and she looks over her shoulder at the poor village below. Or else I end up with nothing. She clutches tighter. I'll put it here so you can see because it's describing the card. She clutches tighter, grasping her purse. She only lessens her grip when her rational mind comes back online. She looks around her and realizes that she is safe and that what she has made will not be taken from her. She remembers that she can save and earn and squirrel away a little for later. She opens her heart to the reality that money comes and goes and that her own generosity of spirit will be the key to making abundance flow into her life with a little more ease. It will be an investment in her future. Looking over her shoulder once more, she gathers her things and gets ready to go to the little village below. She has some gifting to do, an act that is long overdue. And the mantra that goes with this card says, I live an abundant life and I have more than I need. So that's pretty amazing. I don't know if you're tapping into this as well, but as I'm reading that, I'm seeing many of the cards that we've been getting week over week here just in April collectively, because that was very much describing where we're heading next. She's going to go down into the town and she's going to give generously. And again, we've got the Christ consciousness energy coming in with grace, with blessings and goodwill as the guidance here for this week. And we know that we just ended last week with the Three of Wands, wrapping up that week that had us once again looking at past, present, future, which was also just described there in terms of savings, investing, holding on for as a nest egg for the future, etc. Also, Grandmother Hummingbird again with the joy, because it was about having something for later, for the in-between. So there's abundant blessings and joy abounding. And there's also, as all things, as above, so below, there's going to be leaner periods. There's going to be periods that are less joyful. And so what do we have in our reserves to take with us and sustain us for those times? And this is an ending of what is no longer sustainable in the way that we do this in our lives. And again, you can take that out to the macro in the collective, where we are absolutely shining lights on money and the trade system and, all of those things, the financial institutions, etc. And then keep on bringing it around, like we're talking about all of these different ways in which this energy expresses itself on this planet, that bring it all the way down to in my life. Okay, let me take a look and see what's coming up to show me, what I'm investing in, what is my state of affairs, all of the things that we've been saying over and over and over again about this Four of Pentacles, but we wanted to know more. So we're using the cards as a tool to dig a little deeper, to set clear intention, looking back over what's come up, where we are now, and what's coming up next, to tap into these messages. So again, I encourage you to do that as well. As we're looking at these cards, what are you seeing? What is it telling you? And if I want to know, I like to hear. So if if you're getting anything there as well. So that's beautiful, because that story definitely just described what comes next, which is that Six of Pentacles here. So again, that charitable card of giving, receiving, reciprocity, those scales, we see all those pentacles, the haves, the have-not type energy. Now, when we look at the pentacles, little blurb here from Spring Waite, Six of Pentacles, two people can be seen sitting on the ground and are in need of help financially. Presumably they are homeless or at least in need of help. One wears a flower and bee pattern on his cloak, and the other wears a rose-patterned gown. The benefactor proceeds to give 4 coins with a further 2 in hand, which will soon follow to the man in yellow. The man in green is shown scales. It has been said through various interpretations that the scales represent the central figure, their prudence in financial giving and charity. He is not just throwing his money away without thought. Perhaps he has deemed the man in green to have already received his charity previously. This might be the case, considering the scales are balanced perfectly. So we're taking note, again, of the symbols in the cards to say those scales are balanced perfectly. So this snapshot in time isn't showing us something that's unbalanced. It is actually showing a balancing coming in there. So regardless, it's a card of charity and giving. And this card reminds us that if we're doing well, we should share our wealth with those that have less, and wealth of all kinds also, and even just, I'm feeling like knowledge, wisdom. Never underestimate the power of planting a seed. So we're not talking like walking around like a know-it-all, but we're talking about if you have something to share of value, to share it. Remember, this is April, the Fool's Way to Freedom, where we're taking the leap. Just as we spoke about last week, we had the energy of the Fool. And so it is about putting ourselves out there, opening up, allowing that to come forward and sharing even in that way, which costs $0, right? Dollars, pentacles, is very valuable. And also, something that you're giving with grace, the blessings and the goodwill. So I think, bringing in what managed to be 4 cards from the tarot here for us this week, we're in this transformation period. And and I know from the energies that I was tapping into last week and have been sharing, we're in the cocoon, we're in the mush, we're in the in-between, which is that frequency of 5. So with that, let's take a look at our beautiful Christ Consciousness Self-Mastery Oracle card coming in here for this Easter week. All right, so we come in here with this final card of our spread here today, coming from the Christ Consciousness Self-Mastery Oracle from Amanda Ellis. And you can see that I had shared during the card pull, it's a beautiful full-size book. So it's a very detailed interpretation that she's bringing in here that I want to share the full message. I think it's really, powerful and potent for this week and these energies. And as I just looked at the first couple of lines, definitely expanding on our 4 of Pentacles, our recurring 4 of Pentacles. What more do we have an opportunity to see and to know and perhaps to be in the energies that it's bringing forward? So this is the card Grace, blessings and goodwill, bringing in that frequency of the number 5 for this in-between transition, metamorphosis, that we are summoning the energies of joy and grace coming in here. So it says, grace is both a blessing and a gift that is offered to you now to feel and experience God's love. It is given simply because He loves you with no expectation other than to anoint you with it. In addition, this card also asks that as a divine being, you both hold and offer grace, becoming a torchbearer that brings light to the darkness, both in yourself and others. This is mastery in action, and we can emulate the example of Jesus, noticing that all who were in His presence were graced by His gentleness, serenity, calmness, love, and peace. His proficiency in personifying grace stopped people in their tracks, made them change course, and made them want to be better human beings, turning away from ego and toward their divine spirit. Managing your responsibilities and tasks with grace also elevates everyday life to be a display of God's work in action, affecting everyone you meet in interconnected ways. By doing so, you rise above the ordinary and ride the wave of the extraordinary, gliding with ease as the bee does in nature, knowing nectar is available in each flower and moment. The bee does God's work, creating both the honey, which brings the sweetness to the table, and the pollination for our crops to flourish. Bees also teach us to be focused on the task at hand. Their honeycomb structure is a perfect symmetry showing what can be achieved when we work together in harmony with each other. An early reference point to the Christian church, bees also symbolize Christ's qualities, and beeswax candles became the soft light used in dwellings and places of worship. Start to see whatever is in front of you as not as a trap, a test, or obstacle, but an opportunity to personify grace, goodwill, and your alignment to a higher power. Are you seeing, tapping into how similar this message is to Grandmother Hummingbird, telling us in joy, in the sweetness of life, to take that nectar to have in the by and by, right? In the in-between and in those times, right? And this Four of Pentacles connection as well about the leaner versus more abundant, robust times. So, God's grace is seen in so many ways. So take a moment today to truly witness and hold it, from being gracious in defeat to being the point of calm in a queue of frustrated people, to helping someone who has not extended the same courtesy to you. Myriad moments make up a grace-filled landscape, a heartfelt smile, cheery wave, taking time to have a conversation with a lonely neighbor, the charitable act that you do not have to do. All of these acts of grace, and by their very nature, elevate your own consciousness and in turn the planet's vibration. Again, you hear that shout out to that Six of Pentacles. It's so much synchronicity in these completely unrelated cards that we're bringing in here with our collective energy. Grace is gifted freely and does not come with any condition or expectation for something in return, although the universe always notices and thanks you anyway. Thinking about your life, how could you demonstrate grace today? Is there an opportunity to give back to another, to give freely, to be of service by offering your grace and presence? Stepping into grace reminds us we are more than our lower thoughts and actions. We are God's creatures that are here to bring beauty and joy to our world. Ask to be touched with God's grace. Feel its energy as it touches the crown of your head and helps you to be the highest version of yourself today. Smell the blossom in the air, feel the sun against your cheek, and see the wonder all around. And for truly, we are blessed to be here. And by grace, our deeds are known as holders of Christ consciousness. Wow. So that's beautiful. And like I said, it's just noting that this is also the backs of these cards. So it's the back and the front, the alpha and the omega. I'm feeling this, full circle energy of grace, blessings, and goodwill, and that the sweet stuff in life is found in the small graces and through acts of goodwill and investing in that. I actually cannot remember a week where the cards were so fluid. Like I'm seeing the things I just said on other cards when we talk about where our focus goes, the energies flow. Whatever you invest in, however you choose to be buzz in the world is what you are creating more of and what you are telling the universe that you wish to experience more of. So really feeling all of that interconnectedness coming in through each of these cards. I'm just going to pull them up one more time for us. So here, just a panoramic view of all of these cards, and just kind of, I know we did it a little differently this week, so we don't have the daily breakdown. I think I talked for like 17 minutes about the tarot cards there. But, you know, wherever you are on the Sharecast, if you're hearing this on YouTube, wherever you are, you know, as I spoke to each of these cards, the messages have been so consistent. And that's really very validating, you know, to know that, to feel that, that synchronicity and alignment and flow. You know, it's not forced. We're saying, wow, we can't deny that these like phrases and these, you know, examples of ways in which we can tap into these energies in a very real and tangible way. So Taurus energy, Pentacles, Earth, coming in here with really starting to get some traction. That's what I'm feeling as we continue into this week and into Taurus season. And like I say, we'll be building up toward that Taurus new moon and more. So stay tuned. Typically this time of year, I like to do some pick-a-cards with the eggs and something fun. So we'll see, you know, what I'm able to put together this week as we continue. So I hope you're well, and I look forward to connecting with you throughout the week. Much love.